What up, y'all? This is Icon here, going over the TLC WWE pay-per-view, final pay-per-view of the year. Just got finished doing recovering from the Capcom Cup and putting up some other videos. So this was actually a short pay-per-view. This was a very short pay-per-view. It barely broke 3 hours, kind of like the good old days. So let's get right into it and see what we got. So the first match for the pre-show match, it was Alberto Carrillo versus Andrade Cien Almas. They're doing this thing, which I hope they don't go through with. They're doing this thing where Zelina Vega and Andrade are having beef, and they've been hinting at the two of them possibly splitting up, which is dumb, which is completely dumb. Andrade only has a career because of Zelina Vega, and Charlotte Flair is not going to save Andrade's career. Zelina, if they do split up, Zelina will be fine because she's Zelina Vega. She can manage Shelton Benjamin, and the two of them will skyrocket. So she good. But like I said, Andrade's mud in the water. But they're trying to put the young kid over. So in a very decent, not too long, opening pre-show match, Humberto Carrillo gets the victory. And we'll see, if the breakup of Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien Almas continues in the future. So in the opening match for the pay-per-view, it was the New Day, Kofi and Big E versus the Revival. And on the pre-show, the Revival actually rolled up on Booker T and basically tried to jack him for his Hall of Fame rings. I don't know if they're setting up, maybe Stevie Ray comes out of retirement and they're setting up Harlem Heat versus the Revival at WrestleMania, which would be cool. It would be cool to see, but we'll see what happens. So towards the end of this match, the Revival had put Big E through a ladder twice, because this was a ladder match, and they were climbing the top rope trying to get the belts, and Kofi was fighting both of them off. Big E eventually got up. I don't know how he got up after taking that punishment. He did a big ending to one of the Revival off the top of the ladder. Kofi took the title and took both titles and swung them into the other one, and then it banged him in the face, and then he landed on the ladder and rolled over. And then the match ended with Kofi Kingston by himself standing on top of a ladder holding both tag team championships. And that was cool for Kofi because Kofi had a great year. Like, I would even say Kofi's superstar of the year. He carrying the momentum of WrestleMania, and the year coming to an end with Kofi Kingston on top with championship gold, despite it being, tag team gold, but championship gold nonetheless. I'm just glad to see Kofi Kingston going out on top because he started this year on top. So kudos to Kofi and the New Day. So the following match was Buddy Murphy versus Alistair Black, and this one went pretty much how you expected it to go. I'm pretty sure nobody called Buddy Murphy winning this fight, but it was still a good match. Buddy Murphy always puts on a good show, just like Cedric Alexander and a lot of the guys from 205 Live. Alistair Black, he's always good, and the two of them had a very physical, very hard hitting. There was a lot of smacking and kicking and knees and elbows and a lot of things thrown. And there was a moment towards the end where the two of them, squared off in each corner. And then they're just like, yo, let's just go blow for blow, tat for tat. And it was like elbow, knee, strike, kick, slap. And then out of nowhere, Alistair Black just hit him with the black mask. And you can hear the smack come off of Murphy's cheeks. And then once that happened, you knew it was a wrap. You definitely knew it was a wrap. So, and this is what Raw needs to keep doing. You got the talent on the roster. Like Raw and SmackDown, it's you got the talent on the roster. Start putting some feuds together with people that we don't normally get to see. And just let them go at it. Just let them go at it, because win or lose, both guys will earn respect, and that's how you build new stars. So kudos to both guys, and like I said, good match and good win for Alistair Black. So that was followed by Raw Tag Team Championship match between the OC versus the Viking War Raider Experience. And, they had, this table outside, because I guess KFC was sponsoring the event or something. They had a good match. Because, the OC, they're telling everybody they're the best tag team in the world, but the Viking Raiders have the tag team titles. So they wrestled for the titles. They brawled outside. It ended up being a double count out. The fans booed both teams out of the building. And then the Vikings put one of the OC guys through the KFC table. The fans still booed. The War Raiders held their belts up, raged war, and that was over. So to be honest, this feud will continue, and if it does continue, fine. But this match was kind of a letdown, to be honest. Then we had the TLC match with Roman Reigns and King Corbin. And this match went on for way too long. Though it was a good match, it just went on for way too long. And then towards the end, the Revival showed up. Dolph Ziggler showed up. Like everybody and their mama showed up. Jumped Roman. They beat him with dog food. Gave him super kicks and shatter machines. And I thought it was weird that like nobody from the face locker room came out to help Roman, because the whole match, like the commentary, they were just like, oh, you know, Roman Reigns is a locker room leader, and then you know. Corey Graves was like, oh, the locker room's turned on Roman, the locker room wants to follow Corbin. You know, it's like, and when he says that, like none of the face, you would think like the faces would come out and help Roman, so shoot, who knows, maybe the locker room did turn against him. But yeah, but it took 4 guys basically to beat Roman Reigns down, and then King Corbin gets the victory, so we're gonna hear him brag about that tomorrow on Raw. So after that, they did the WWE, well, actually the Blue Universal Championship match between The Miz and not Daniel Bryan, between The Miz and Bray Wyatt, which I guess means now the ladies are going to main event the show. Bray Wyatt did not show up as The Fiend. He actually showed up as Mr. Rogers. If they're going to allow him to wrestle as the Mr. Rogers character, you know, because The Miz was whooping this dude's ass like throughout the entire match. Like he was like the Mr. Rogers persona. The Mr. Rogers persona isn't as tough as the Fiend persona. So if they're going to allow him to wrestle as Mr. Rogers, there's a chance that Bray Wyatt could actually lose the title at some point. So the match was very one-sided, and then you know Bray Wyatt turned it on towards the end, hit him with the Sister Abigail, and then he put the Miz down for the count. He brought out like a mallet, like or something, you know, to kill the Miz. And then they put like the Fiend's picture on the screen, because you know, like every time the Miz does the Miz, every time Bray Wyatt does his thing, it's always Mr. Rogers in the screen and the Fiend, and then the Fiend is always in the ring. So they reversed it this time, and they had the Fiend actually on the television screen. Then suddenly, like the music. Some strange music hits. It actually sounds like the Fiend, like the intro to the Fiend's music, and then Mr. Rogers started chanting, "He's here, he's here," saying like the Fiend is here, and then he's waiting for the Fiend to show up. We all knew that wasn't gonna happen, and then he turned around, got kneed in the face, took a running knee to the face, and then you know, the person who kneed him in the face was a clean shaven Daniel Bryan. You know, with he cut the beard, he cut his hair, so he no longer looks like Jesus. I mean, he still has like a little goatee, but you know, he looks like how he looked when he was doing Talking Smack. So you know, he whooped on Bray Wyatt, and I guess it made sense. See, it makes more sense now why they would have him be Mr. Rogers, because Daniel Bryan wouldn't do that to the Fiend. So Daniel Bryan gets his he gets his revenge on the Fiend, and it looks like the Bray Wyatt Daniel Bryan feud will continue going forward. Our next matchup was one I could definitely get behind. The almighty Bobby Lashley with the fine Lana by his side going up against Rusev Day in a tables match. And of course it was what you expected, you know, Lana getting involved, a lot of shenanigans. Rusev put up a good fight, but for the love of God, Bobby Lashley got a W. You know, because ever since WrestleMania, like I don't think Lashley's actually won a match since he lost the Intercontinental title to Finn Balor at WrestleMania, which proved to be pointless because Finn Balor did nothing with the title after he won it. It was really just about Lashley going one-on-one with the Fiend. But yeah, Lashley got the win. You know, he put Rusev through the table, and you know, much to the chagrin of the public, this feud will continue until Rusev finally wins. But I'm not mad because I'm a Lashley fan, and I don't mind looking at Lana. So kudos to Lashley for getting that W. So what turned out to be the final match of the night, I guess we're not getting a SmackDown Women's Championship match, was the women's tag matches actually main evented a pay-per-view. It was the Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte Flair versus the man Becky Lynch. And this match was a good match. Like you know, it was a TLC match. Like there was nothing horrible about it, but you know, there were multiple times where Charlotte and Becky could have actually won the thing, and they didn't. But you know, nothing was really resolved. And in the end, because Charlotte got taken out, the Kabuki Warriors ended up retaining. You know, they won the TLC match and they retained the championship. So Asuka basically finishes the year how she started it, which is winning against Becky Lynch at a pay-per-view, because she beat her through a Rumble, then she got her here. Before that match started, because earlier I was saying how when Roman Reigns was getting his ass whooped, none of the faces in the locker room came out and helped him. And then there was like a backstage segment where there was a brawl going on with between Roman Reigns, The New Day, Shorty G, Chad Gable, and then it was Corbin, Ziggler. The Revival was in the mix. The Street Profits got involved because they were backstage. It was like this huge fight, you know, that took place. And then right after Asuka won the championship, because God forbid we end the show, you know, with Asuka winning, you know, holding the gold up high. The fight that the men were having spilled out into the arena area, into the crowd, and then, you know, the show just went off the air with, you know, with all of them fighting and, you know, brawling. And then they did the whole, like, you know, that was it. And that was that's how the show ended. So that was it. That was WWE TLC, Tables, Ladders, and/or Chairs. Not the greatest pay-per-view of all time, but I mean, it didn't suck. I mean, they closed out a lot of feuds that were happening, and some other feuds that they're not ready to end kind of continued over, and it's going to continue over to the next year. Lashley and Kofi got victory, so I'm I'm happy with that. I mean, scale it 1 to 10. I mean, honestly, I'll give the show a 6. I mean, because it was like it would have been just like smack dam in the middle. But like I said, like Lashley finally getting a victory, because he hasn't gotten a victory, you know, since like March, and the New Day, you know, Kofi winning, Kofi finally won a ladder match, you know, and then him holding the belts up high was cool to see. So I gave him an extra point for that. So 6 out of 10. We'll see what the Royal Rumble has to hold, because that's the next pay-per-view. The road to WrestleMania will soon be here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Check out my other videos. Got my new Street Fighter Guild video coming up soon. And until the next video, as always, I'm out this bitch.